What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse, back in another video. In today's video, we have our Chelsea versus Bayer Leverkusen match review, as well as our AC Milan versus Chelsea match preview. Um, yeah, the reason I decided to do it this way is obviously the fixtures are spanned out across 2 days, so the match review would have came out in the match review would have came out the same day the match preview would have. So I decided why not just bundle it up into one. So yeah, we have our Bayer Leverkusen match review, and then we also have our AC Milan match preview, because Chelsea kick off against them, I believe, at 3 p.m. UK time tomorrow, 9 a.m. over here, or 2 p.m. UK time. 2 p.m. I think, actually, now that I think about it. Um, so yeah, we can just get into it, starting off with our match review. We have Chelsea versus Bayer Leverkusen 2-0. Really, really good game on Chelsea's part. I know it's preseason, not to overreact or anything, but the team looked really good. It looked very fluid. Subs and everything who came on, everyone looked great. No one really skipped a beat. It seemed like everyone was in cohesion with what Maresca wanted. The team executed it perfectly. I don't know how much of that is Bayer Leverkusen not being that great. Obviously, Ten Hag is now in charge. They lost Verts, they lost Xabi Alonso, they lost Frimpong, so you know they lost very important pieces to their squad. But they are rebuilding. They are buying players in, and they still have the likes of Boniface and Flecken, who they bought in, great goalkeeper, and from Brentford over to Bayer Leverkusen, playing the Champions League this year. So it's a decent squad regardless, and Chelsea absolutely manhandled them in this game. Yeah, the attack looked fluid. The defense was very supportive in the build-up play without Levi Colwill. Josh Achayampong looked great. You know, Jorgensen looked great with the ball at his feet. Didn't really get tested too much with his hands, which is good, I think, because the less you test Jorgensen, the better he is as a goalkeeper. Just really, really good with the ball at his feet as a goalkeeper. So yeah, it was a really, really good result. If we want to look at the lineups here, we have the Chelsea lineup on the left, the Bayer Leverkusen lineup on the right. So you can see we started out with a lot of rotation. We gave Esteval his first start. Man of the match performance very easily. Scored the first goal in the game. João Pedro ended up getting the second with a mass amount of subs. But this was the starting lineup. You can see Palmer only got one half, as well as Caicedo and Chalaba, as well as Cucurella. So yeah, those mainstay guys that are going to be part of the first team only got, or I guess part of the starting lineup, only got the half. Yeah, in terms of standouts, Esteval was easily man of the match. Again, scored his first goal for Chelsea, albeit a friendly game, but still looked great. Looked dynamic on the wing. Also looked dynamic when he was playing the 10, linking up play very well. Team looked great. Tyreek George was playing great through balls, overlapping runs by Cucurella. He was able to find those. The lap a little bit quiet. I'd say the only meh performer from that game, but I think he made good runs. He was dragging the defense out. Making striker runs, playing the striker position, always wreaking havoc regardless of if he has the ball or not. So, I think the lab did have a very good performance yesterday. It was just meh comparison to the rest. I thought Josh Achayampong for playing central center half was very bright. And the way we set up in possession, if you can see this right here, was Cucurella would be the one playing this 10 position. Jarrell Hato actually came in and did that as well, and he looked very bright doing that. But Jarrell Hato would sit more in the Santos role, and then the midfielder would step up. So I guess that would have been Santos for most of the game. He would play this advanced 10 spot with Esteval here, and then Pedro Neto came on as well. So yeah, Cucurella and Jarrell Hato basically did the same thing in that game, and Jarrell Hato executed it perfectly. Or executed the Cucurella role perfectly. Obviously, it's still Cucurella's job to lose. He's not going to lose that job. He looked immense in the friendly game as well, and he's not going to get rotated out. But it's good to know that we have great cover there in Jarrell Hato. It is Hato, not Hato. I know I say Hato a lot. It is Yorel Hato instead of Jarrell. It's just easier to pronounce it that way for me because, you know, in America, it's usually you pronounce your J's. So I usually say Jarrell Hato, but it is Yorel Hato. But yeah, he was able to execute that Cucurella role brilliantly. So I was glad to see that. Chalaba looked decent. Especially on his weak side, he can play with his left foot if he really needs to. So maybe we found something there with the Achayampong Chalaba pairing. Achayampong looked very bright playing those passes in between the lines. You know, I wasn't really expecting it. I was kind of thinking, excuse me, that Gusto would be the one tucking in or overlapping to let Esteval cut inside. And then, Achai Yampong play that right center back because, that's what he's used to. Chalaba playing the center and then Cucurella playing that left. But the way it was Achai Yampong was at the center, Chalaba was on the left, Gusto was on the right with Cucurella going up the pitch. Santos had a good game, a lot of ball recoveries, played, a very decent box to box midfielding game. Just, like for him to finish more, getting those goal scoring opportunities that Enzo does. But he's still learning. Not gonna take that and put it against him. It's just something I would like to see. The more he advances his game, the more he's gonna do it. Cole Palmer looked great, linking up play very well. And I think the main reason why he was able to have such a successful game was they were so focused on Esteval. Esteval was providing such a threat that they kind of just forgot that Cole Palmer was our best player on the pitch by far. Always going to be the best player on the pitch when he's on there with Caicedo. Um, Caicedo's wrecking havoc. He doesn't know what a friendly game is. Cucurella doesn't know what a friendly game is. They're just diving into tackles. And Palmer has just this free role that Maresca gave him. He said, "Just go be yourself, go be free." He was able to link up play very well, looked very good, finding Esteval at pretty much every single opportunity, and was successful in doing just that. Some of the long balls he was playing was just immense. So yeah, fair play to Cole Palmer for that. Looked like he didn't drop off any form from that final against PSG against Bayer Leverkusen, and it was good to see. Everyone looked very fit for it being the first preseason game. First game back from holiday, obviously only trained for a week and then already had a preseason game, and have one again tomorrow. So really really proud of them for their performance. Looked very very good. Um, yeah, pretty much just broke down Ten Hag's team. I think had 80% possession throughout the entire game. Um, in terms of Bayer Leverkusen, Jarell Kwanzaa had a target out for Cole Palmer for some reason. I don't know why. Um, Andrich was pretty frustrated throughout the entire game, as well as Grimaldo. Hincapie looked decent. Player that I really like. Flecken looked good for Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously made a lot of saves. Chelsea had a lot of shots on target. Esteval could have had a hat trick if he really wanted to. Cole Palmer could have had a goal. But, deflected off the crossbar. Esteval was able to tap it in for his goal. João Pedro goal at the end was a great finish. Good team play. Very, very good team play. Actually recovered the ball around here. Was able to play all the way through the pitch. Subbed in Rakasaki, who looked very good, as well as Antoine. Antoine kind of recovered the ball, or not recovered the ball, sorry, received the ball and then ran down this, cut it inside. João Pedro was right here, was able to finish it in the bottom corner excellently, and that's how we scored our second goal. But this was just our starting lineup. They played most of the game, as you can see. Um, but yeah, everyone looked bright. Everyone looked like they were locked in, ready to hear what Mariska had to give them. So yeah, it was a really promising performance, especially for the first preseason game. Bayer Leverkusen have played six, and we looked more fit, and we absolutely played them off the park. So you know, truly a fair play to Chelsea for that. Really, really looked good in this game. If you want to look at what went well, I marked fluidity. I thought we were very fluid throughout the game. I thought, the defense to the midfield to the attack all were in cohesion very well, as well as Jorgensen playing out the back as well. So, maybe that's something we experiment throughout the season if we know we're going to dominate with teams on the ball. We can put Jorgensen in those games, give, Sanchez a little bit of rest. If need be, because we know Sanchez is going to play a lot of games between FA Cup, um, Champions League, and then Premier League. I expect Jorgensen to play the Carabao Cup games and maybe FA Cup games if they're against lesser opposition, and then maybe some Prem or Champions League games as well if they're against lesser opposition like a Burnley, or if we're in the Champions League and play, like a FC No or something like that. But yeah, the players I highlighted I thought were excellent in that game. I thought Gusto was pretty good too. I probably should have highlighted him as well. Um, yeah, Gusto didn't really put a foot wrong in that game. Defended well. I think that right center back role wasn't too bad for him, and it kind of gave him the flexibility to bomb up off or bomb up and down the pitch if he really wanted to. With Cucurella being able to tuck in, just a communication thing if Gusto was to do that, but I think he did have the flexibility to do that. The team just looked very fluid. It was able to play through the pitch. You can see the names highlighted were the main reasons we were able to play the way we did. Cucurella with those line breaking passes, as well as getting into the midfield. Achai Yampong was breaking the lines very well. Caicedo finding players regularly. Cole Palmer switching the ball left and right. The team was just very fluid. It was a very very good performance for the first match day, or not match day, but game day for the preseason of two, only one of two, and then we have Crystal Palace coming up next week. Doesn't even feel like the Premier League is back next week, but it truly is. We're up and running come next Saturday or Sunday. don't recall, but one of those 2 days. But yeah, those 5 players that I highlighted look excellent. Ja Pedro was up there too. Raksaki looked great. Antoine looked great too. So those 3 players would also get highlights, but they're just not on the lineups because they didn't start. But yeah, Raksaki looks very bright for a young talent. I think all 3 or 4 young talents, Antoine, Eche, George, and Raksaki, look decent in the game. Obviously, pretty much the entire team is young talents. Esteval's young, Gusto's young, Palmer's young, Santos is young, Delap's young, Jorgensen's young, Caicedo's young. All of them are pretty youthful. But talking about youth academy players, those 4 um, were the ones that featured in the game, and they actually looked like they stood out. So fair play to them for that, showing up Cobb well. Reece James did get a couple minutes. You can see Gusto got subbed out in the 65th. Looked decent. Obviously playing that right center back role, which he's very good at. But yeah, team looked very fluid against Bayer Leverkusen. It was a very promising performance. The attacking cohesion was just everyone was able to intermix everywhere. Everyone was just moving. Palmer was going here to here, here to here. Esteval was able to play across the entire or I guess front 3 behind the striker. Even ended up playing the 10 as well as playing in this left hand side pocket. Even times when he cut in, Palmer was able to overlap him. So yeah, the team just that's what I mean by fluidity. It was very flexible. Maresca set them up very well, and it was a lineup that let Palmer, Esteval, George all intermix because George is very good central too. Even when Pedro Neto came on, and then Gittins came on and looked absolutely amazing. The ball just sticks to his feet like glue. To be honest, I was very excited for the signing. If you go watch my previous videos when we get to Here We Go for Gittins, I was ecstatic. I think one of my favorite signings of the summer, someone that I'm very intrigued to watch this season. I love Gittins as a player, and y'all were able to see that. Excels very well, ball is stuck to his feet all the time. Um, so yeah, I think a really really bright performance for him to show Chelsea fans what he has going into the season. Um, so yeah, really really good performance overall. I think something that we can definitely carry into the season off the back of the Club World Cup win. I think this brings a little bit of momentum because even coming back after holiday, you dominated team, and you're like, all right, we're ready to dominate again and again and again. You know, little preseason wins like that just add to the mentality because it's like, well, we just took a 3 week break and we're still pretty much playing at our best. So who says we can't do that to start the season? And then it just continues to churn, and every player is ready to give their all and give their best every single game week because there is a lot of competition at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, that was the Chelsea versus Bayer Leverkusen game. Again, a very very good performance. Very proud of the team for the way they showed up in the first game of the preseason. I expected it to be a slow performance, but no, from the kickoff we were getting into challenges, even though it was a preseason game, and also defended well, attacked well, and really really got on the back foot of Bayer Leverkusen very early. So, fair play to them for that performance. But now it's time to move on to the match preview. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do this again, to be honest. A match preview and a review at the same time, just because games are within the span of 2 days. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been able to do this before, but yeah, this is the second half of the video. It is now our match preview for Chelsea versus AC Milan and what to expect in this game. Um, Pretty much expect more of the same. More of the same, just a very different lineup than what you saw in the last game versus Bayer Leverkusen. I think with the starting lineup, we're gonna see a lot more of the players that are going to play against or start against Crystal Palace, excuse me, in match day 1 of the Premier League. I don't know if we're going to start that way or end that way, but I expect that to be the way that we approach this game. Is kind of like a Premier League game where we go through subs regularly, probably make all 11 changes, but timely subs and stuff like that, and treat this like an actual game. So I do expect Maresca to kind of start with our main lineup rather than end with it, but. Yeah, I think we expect a lot of the same in terms of tactics. Everyone just intermixing, at their best. And what does that lineup look like? This lineup looks like this. We have Robert Sanchez back in goal, Chalaba in that right center back spot, Tolson in that central center half spot, and then Cucurella in that left center back spot. With Reece James uh, inverting into midfield with Caicedo to make that double pivot. Fernandez and Palmer as the double tens, with Gittins and Neto on your wings, and then João Pedro up top. If you want to look at this the other way, you can move Caicedo over here, Cucurella. So you'd pretty much put Caicedo where James is, Cucurella where Caicedo is, and then you'd move Tossin, or yeah, you keep Tossin where he is. You move Chalaba to the left center back spot, and then you play Reece James right here. So basically, it's just a big, rotation in a, I guess, trapezoid. With these four players, exclude Tossin, you would just move Cucurella here, Caicedo here, James here, and then Chalaba all the way over here. Because I think Tossin is best in that central center half role, but I do expect that to be our pair headed into the season. Because I do not know about Wesley Fofana's fitness, so that's why I went with this for our lineup. Kind of looks like a star, to be honest. Yeah, I just realized that it kind of does actually look like a star. But yeah, Joe Pedro up top. I think deservedly so. Um, I think Gittins showed enough to start over Tyreek George. Not much competition on that left wing, unless you want Pedro Neto playing over there and then Esteval on that right. But to be fair, Esteval did play 70 minutes or so, so I do not expect him to um, start in this game or play a load of minutes. I think he will get a couple of minutes, and I do expect him to feature against Crystal Palace as well because I do think that he did look very, very bright against Bayer Leverkusen. Easily our stand-up player of the match. I think, his movement was good, his finishing was good. Again, could have had a hat trick, dragged one wide, one got saved. He has a lot of venom in his shot. Able to cut inside. So yeah, maybe we see Esteval take over Neto's spot sometime in the season. But for the meantime, this is what I have. I think this is what we're going to start out with against Crystal Palace because Wesley Fofana was not part of the squad against Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know if he will be against AC Milan. I expect Fernandez to get a full 90. I expect Tossin to get a full 90. I expect James to play a lot. Palmer Caicedo probably to get a half, as well as Chalabo and Cucurella. Tossin probably to play a while. Sanchez to play the whole game, obviously. Joao Pedro to play, 65 or so minutes. Neto, same amount, as well as Gittins. I just think Fernandez and Tossin play the whole game because they did not feature against Bayer Leverkusen. Everyone else did in this lineup. Or maybe Tossin did come on and I'm just mistaken. No, it was Anselmino. Um, maybe did Tossin come on for Echayempong? Maybe. I could be completely wrong, and Tossin did actually come on, and I'm just a casual. Um, you know, I will look that up as of now to make sure I'm not incorrect, but I think I very well could be now that I think about it. Let's go to Chelsea. Let's go to squad, or no, fixtures, and then we go to Bayer Leverkusen. Lineup. Okay, no, Tossin did come on. He played the entire second half, so maybe Anselmino subs on at some time. Um, yeah, I didn't realize he was there. I expect Joel Hatza to play a half. Anselmino to probably play a half, or you know, um, Achai Mpong to play a half. Actually, now that I think about it, more likely than not. Um, so yeah, if you do want to see our subs from the Bayer Leverkusen game, here they are. Jarell Hatto came on at halftime. Tossin came on. Asugo, who absolutely looked brilliant, was able to break the lines very well with his passing, came on at halftime. Forgot to note on him in the match review, but here he is. Looked great against Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know why his rating was only a 6.7, but if you look at this performance, yeah, 36 out of 38 accurate passes with 2 chances created. Um, yeah, looked absolutely immense in that game. Had a very important tackle in there too. Um, yeah, I expect all of these players to feature. Maybe not Roxaki or Ansui or maybe not Anselmino, but everyone from Reece James up, and then everyone in the starting lineup to feature in the game against AC Milan tomorrow. So, that's kind of what to expect. I'm not going to give a score prediction or anything because at the end of the day, it is preseason. But I did want to give a quick lineup out there because this is kind of what I expect against Crystal Palace. So I think this is what Maresca is going to ride with. So yeah, that is my 2-1, my match review, and then my match preview. Match review for Bayer Leverkusen, and then match preview for AC Milan, which kicks off at 2 p.m. UK tomorrow. 10 a.m. in the US, 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Depending on what time zone you're in. So might be an early-ish morning for some if you're on the West Coast. Might be a perfect time to wake up if you're on the East Coast. So, you know, exciting game. Something that I think will take somewhat seriously because at the end of the day, this is our last preseason game, so I think we're going to treat it similar to a regular game. But yeah, that is everything. That is the match preview as well as the match review. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. There will be a match review for the AC Milan game out either tomorrow or the day after. It depends because there has been no Chelsea news within the last 2 days, so I might try to um, jumble everything up from including tomorrow to make a 3 day in one news video because it consists of pretty much what one news video usually would because there just has been no news for some reason. A little scary kind of, but not at all. At the same time, like, it's scary to me, but then at the same time, we're probably just negotiating these deals. But maybe there's a news video tomorrow, maybe it's a double upload day tomorrow. Don't really know, but we'll see. So yeah, I'll see y'all then. If you did enjoy this video, again, please be sure to like, subscribe, and thank you for the support as always. And it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.